Assalamu alaikum. How you doing?
Alhamdulillah, I'm doing wonderful out here. How you doing?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
I hope you got some rest.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Sallallahu sallam wa barak. Ala al-mab'uthi rahmatan lil alameen. Nabina wa imamina Muhammad. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam tasliman kathiran. Amma ba'd. Shaykh Ilyas, may Allah bless him and preserve him, mentioned a lot of important points with regards to studying, with regards to learning this religion. And perhaps from what I heard, I didn't hear the complete speech or the complete lecture, but perhaps from the most important things that he was mentioning was the necessity of acting upon what you learn. And not just gathering pieces of information, facts, and memorizing, but actually putting your ilm into physical practice. Perhaps from what I heard, this was the most important and crucial point of his talk. And wallahi, the words that he said to you are things that can't be fully understood just in words. Some things that you're going to have to experience in your own life. It's going to take some years for you brothers and sisters to see why he was stressing, placing so much emphasis on that one point, the necessity of acting. And if I may humbly add, when you act upon your ilm, not only are you fulfilling the responsibility that Allah placed upon you, but it is a means of you learning and gaining even more knowledge. Learning and gaining even more knowledge. Khairan, inshallah. With this conference, or the theme of this conference, Journey of Ilm, alhamdulillah, as Shaykh Ilyas mentioned, it's the third consecutive year that Allah has brought us together. And many lectures that we did before in Minnesota and places besides Minnesota, we always try to focus on one theme. And that theme is seeking knowledge in a general way and in a specific way. When we speak about the virtue of ilm and its excellence in a general way, and also focus on a few concepts or a few points that prove the superiority and excellence of al-ilm. Also, we talk about the etiquettes of seeking ilm. What are the do's and what are the don'ts? Which is a major means behind you becoming successful in that search of knowledge. And once again, we do this from two angles, two aspects. One that's general, the general etiquette of talab al-ilm, the ikhlas, the consistency, and we also speak about the specific points and the specific techniques of studying and how to seek knowledge professionally. There is a general way that everybody has to adhere to, whether you in the duksi, whether you want to be a student of knowledge or not. And then inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm sure there are many youth here, male and female, that want to take seeking knowledge to the next level. Professional, I want to go overseas. I want to be an imam. I want to be a sheikh. I actually want to be a student of hadith, or whatever you want to specialize in. Anyone who aspires for that, then you cannot suffice yourself with the general principles. It's not enough to know the general adab. Now you must know the subtleties, the fine issues of talab al-ilm, how to finely tune your search of knowledge. So therefore, we've done many lectures on this topic from both aspects, the general aspect and the specific aspect. I want to share with you, bi'idhnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala, some beautiful speech of Imam An-Nawawi rahimahullah with regards to the do's and the don'ts of the seeker of knowledge. We've done a lecture on this in Al-Madinah, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam city, with regards to the first part of the adab of muta'allim. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وينبغي أن ينظر إلى معلمه بعين الاحترام ويعتقد كمال أهليته ورجحانه على أكثر طبقته وأقرب إلى انتفاعه به ورسوخ ما سمعه منه في ذهنه وقد كان بعض المتقدمين إذا ذهب إلى معلمه تصدق بشيء وقال اللهم استر عيب معلمي عني ولا تذهب بركة علمه مني. He says the sixth point, the specific etiquettes of a learner is that you need to respect your teacher. And you should look at your teacher as being the most qualified and the most complete person that gives you knowledge. And if you do so, not only is that a major means of respecting him or her, but it is a major means of you getting more knowledge from them. In other words, if you go to a teacher, a Quran teacher here in this masjid or this duqsi, or in the Islamic University of Medina, because we're not mentioning general things now, we're talking about specific adab of talab al-ilm. You hold him in contempt. He's okay, he's alright, he's a teacher of Quran, but someone else is better. He doesn't come from this background, he didn't study that long, so on and so forth. When you have that attitude before you sit down, and before you get one letter from that teacher, you're already biased. You're already not open and willing to accept his or her knowledge. Or as we say all the time, your cup isn't empty. So therefore, not only is it a means of disrespect and scorning your teacher, but it's a means of you being held back and hindered from taking every single ounce of ilm that you can possibly take from this teacher. And this is a specific method of talab al-ilm, a specific method of seeking knowledge. It's for when you to sit with someone, try to learn everything that you can from them. An-Nawawi rahimahullah, he gives a brief story or an example of what some of the ancient Muslims used to do. Whenever they wanted to meet a teacher or an instructor, a sheikh, they would go and they would give sadaqah. They would give a few dinars or a few dirhams. They would give charity, and they would pray after they gave that charity. In other words, they made tawassul. They did a virtuous deed, and they asked Allah Azza wa Jal to accept their supplications based off of that virtuous deed. Some of them will say, "Oh Allah, ustur ayba mu'allimi anni." They say, "Oh Allah, hide the faults of my teacher from me. Keep anything that is a blemish or a scar that's found in my Ustadh, hide it from me. And do not take the barakah of his ilm from me." In other words, these people, they knew that in order for them to learn and soak up everything that they could, they had to look at their teacher as if he was perfect. Not meaning that he's not a human being, that he doesn't make sin. But he is qualified, highly qualified, and ready to serve and to teach me. And me as a pupil and a disciple, I'm ready to accept that teaching. Like a needle and like a thread. Like a needle and like thread. So this for is many people, they're unaware of this etiquette. They know the general principles. When you sit in a class, respect the teacher, don't speak over him, don't raise your voice, don't talk outside in the hallway, walk back and forth, things like this. But actually looking at your teacher as someone who can give you something. And not coming to the class, I'll see what he has to say. I heard some things about him. Inshallah, he's okay, he's this and he's that. But actually wanting to learn from that person. And you never know the benefit, the faida that you may get from a mediocre teacher, from a so-so teacher, that you'll never find among a superstar teacher. And I know this from personal experience. There were many teachers and professors that I had in the College of Hadith and Islamic University of Medina that weren't that famous, weren't that known. Their classes were better, more beneficial, and had far more benefits than those that were known and famous. So this is the sixth etiquette of the seeker of knowledge, the specific etiquette. Number 7. ومن آداب المتعلم أن يتحرى رضا المعلم وإن خالف رأي نفسه ولا يغتاب عنده ولا يفشي له سرا وأن يرد غيبته إذا سمعها فإن عجز فارق ذلك المجلس. Another very important technique for the student of knowledge that is specific is for you to look to please your teacher, even if it goes against something that you believe or something that you feel. A student of knowledge is not someone who should always be locking horns with his teacher. And wallahi, it is something that's very widespread in the general public lectures and the personal tutoring sessions. Wherever you go, you find a student. But, Sheikh, however, but what if? Lakin, no, what I heard, I read. Sheikh Fulan, student Fulan, my teacher, so on and so forth. He said don't recite it like that. You don't do that. Even if you feel that it's incorrect. Even if you feel that the other teacher has more knowledge. But you should look to please your teacher and not to go against him. Why is this, one may ask? It's connected to that 6th point, but it's a bit more specific. And that is, the more comfortable the teacher feels with you, and the more humble he sees you, the more he's willing to give you. And sitting with a teacher or sitting with a scholar or a student, it does not mean that you agree with every single thing that they say. It doesn't mean that. That is not a condition. That I have to agree with everything that he's telling me. But me being his pupil, me being his student, in his presence, I should obey him. As long as it is not going against the Quran and the Sunnah. There are many people who are wretched and miserable. No matter what you say to them, they won't get this point. They don't care about that point. And those are the people that will be hindered from the ilm of the Shaykh. Or the one who's Mubarak, who's blessed, is the one that is going to implement this, and he's going to get the secrets. And the 10, 20, 30 years of experience that the teacher has, is going to give it to him for free. Let alone ijaza, let alone recommendation, let alone him giving him his position, and the list goes on of benefits that you get from this basic etiquette. He says he should not backbite his teacher, and he should not allow his teacher to be backbitten. When someone brings something to him from the faults and flaws of his teacher, he should reject it, and he should not listen to it. And if he can't do so, if there are too many people, if they have an audience, then he has to get up and leave. How many people today, you learn from someone for 5 years, 10 years, and then they say something about him, they speak ill about him, and you sit and you listen. And just a couple years ago, you didn't know how to make wudu. You know how to pray. You couldn't even recite the Quran al-Kareem. He taught you everything that you knew, and now you have the audacity and the nerve to sit down and listen to people slander him? That doesn't make sense. Even if it's true. Where is your loyalty? Islam is a religion that teaches loyalty. The Sunnah teaches you loyalty. Even if they do something wrong, you don't have to follow them in that or be fanatical. However, he has a virtue upon you. And Allah subhanahu wa exalted, he says, وَلَا تَنْسَوْا الْفَضْلَ بَيْنَكُمْ. He says, do not forget the virtue that you have among each other. This verse in Surah Al-Baqarah is speaking about divorce. A man and a woman. Allah tells us that when you have problems, when things are not going as easy and smooth, don't forget when your wife was there for you, when she helped you out, when she supported you, when she allowed you to marry her when you had nothing, etc., and vice versa. The husband, don't forget his virtue over you, sister. All that he's done for you. If this is the obligation with regards to a man and a woman, what do you think is the obligation with regards to master and apprentice? Do not forget the virtue that you have among each other. He taught you how to walk, how to crawl, how to do everything in Islam. And you can sit and listen to people talk ill of him? There lies no doubt. This clearly proves something that is very foul inside of your heart. And it's not just criticism or refuting his mistake, no, but it shows that you're vile. Someone to walk you by the hand and show you everything, and you allow people to attack you. He says, point number 8, وَأَنْ لَا يَدْخُلَ عَلَيْهِ بِغَيْرِ إِذْنٍ وَإِذَا دَخَلَ جَمَاعَةٌ قَدَّمُوا أَفْضَلَهُمْ وَأَسَنَّهُمْ. You should not enter upon your teacher unless you have the permission to do so. Don't enter the classroom, do not enter the majlis, do not enter into his home or wherever he may be sitting or resting unless you have explicit permission or unless you know that he doesn't mind. Number 10. He says number 9. وَلْيَدْخُلَ كَامِلَ الْهَيْبَةِ فَارِغَ الْقَلْبِ من الشواغل متطهرا متنظفا بسواك وقص شارب وظفر وإزالة كريه رائحة. The 9th specific etiquette that I know he talks about is that when you enter upon your teacher, you should be in a subtle, humble manner. You should be clean. You should be fresh. You should be smelling good. Your mustache, if you have a beard, should be trimmed. Your fingernails should be trimmed. In other words, you don't come to the class and you're shabby and dirty and smelly. In other words, you don't come to the class and you're playing around with your cell phone, looking at your cell phone, as many people, unfortunately, they're doing here right now while I'm speaking. He's talking, he's walking, he's doing this. Some people in the back talking, Fulan talks too much, this and that. That's not the adab. Rather, your heart should be free, still, Work is on pause. Family is on pause. Basketball, football, soccer, kulluhum on pause. And this is how, bi'idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is how you suck up that ilm. And as we said before, this is not, right now, this is not the general adab. This is something specific. Inshallah, everyone will benefit from it. But we are making an address to those sisters, those brothers who have high aspirations to be a real student of knowledge, a real seeker of ilm. Moving on before time runs out, he says, وَيُسَلِّمْ عَلَى الْحَاضِرِينَ كُلِّهِمْ بصوت يسمعهم إسماعا محققا ويخص الشيخ بزيادة إكرام كذلك يسلم إذا انصرف. He says that when you enter in the majlis or the classroom or the chamber of learning, you should give the greetings and allow your greetings to be loud and heard, that you're sure that everyone can hear you, and specify, he says to take your shaykh, your teacher, and give him even more ihtiram, even more respect, whether it's a handshake or a hug or kiss or saying something more than just assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. We'll stop here, whereas we are out of time. Perhaps we have time for a question or two. If not, then we'll stop. Allah knows best. There are many other points that I know we rahimahullah speaks about. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykhana. May Allah bless you. And may Allah make us of those that hear the speech and take from it that's good, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you all for being polite and listening. Inshallah ta'ala, we'll be going back to our classes. And we want, inshallah, the Ma'at students, the boys and the girls, please go in 103. We still have a little bit of time. The Sheikhs wanted to have an exclusive time with you guys. And also the Tahfidh kit, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. Order.